Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. For me, it is Sunday morning, March the 15th, 2015. Just very, very early morning here. Very early. Just past 12 midnight. I really should start recording these things a little bit earlier, but it does take me quite some time to actually compile the list of things I'm going to talk about and various other things. And of course, I end up going down these rabbit holes where I start reading something. I'm like, oh, let me go read this, and then let me go read that, and I'm gonna I'm gonna listen to this video, and so many things, so many things to get tied up on. But it has been an excellent week for me. I hope it's been a good week for everyone else. It's been a tiring week. I didn't do a live stream on Friday. I did want to. I didn't do it with the intention of actually getting more stuff recorded. I did not accomplish getting more stuff recorded. Unfortunately, I ended up just being so crazy tired that I didn't get too much done. And then also, I ended up having to do some maintenance on my computer here because the hard drive space was extremely low on all the hard drives, and it was giving me some long rendering times, longer than usual for something like a 720p video. Was taking quite some time more than it should have. So I got all that squared away so far. So everything's good there. The perils of being a YouTuber. I do at some point need to get another hard drive. I think I have spot for one more hard drive in the computer here, so I should do that sooner rather than later, because the space, since I've been doing a lot of recording in 1080p, and I've been doing a lot of recording in 60 frames per second, the space is getting used up quite quickly. So I need to rectify that at some point. Also, it would help. I'll dig myself. I'll dig myself here. It would help if I actually got off my butt and started editing some of the 700 gigs of footage I still have from Wing Commander Saga that I played. Still haven't done that. I should do that, especially now when I'm kind of in a weird spot where there's a lot of stuff going on, and I've been bitten by the by the real-time strategy bug. The real-time strategy bug, it is an insistent, very virulent thing that happens. So it's invading my thoughts, and everything I'm doing on the YouTubes here seems to be falling into that pattern, which is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be wanted to keep some kind of variety, but there is a lot of real-time strategy games that I want to play and I want to record. So hope you strap in and are ready for that, because it's a coming. Whether it's your bag or not, it is certainly my bag at the moment. So with that, there's quite a few games and whatnot that are coming out very shortly. It seems like March 17th is the day. It is the day when everything goes to hell for me, because there's so many things coming out on the 17th. We've got Battlefield Hardline, I believe, is going live on the 17th of March. I got the little notification that I could preload it, and I did. So I have that preloaded right now, but I don't think I can actually play it until the 17th. So that's a thing. I will probably be playing the way I figure it, and we'll see how this works out. The way I figure it is, I will probably play the single player story campaign for the YouTubes. I don't know if it'll be 60 frames per second, because I don't know what the hardware requirements are going to be for the game. I kind of do, and I kind of figure it's not going to be I'm not going to be able to do 60 frames per second. But who knows? Maybe I'll figure something out there. But we'll have that for the single player. Will be for the YouTubes, and I might do some of the multiplayer on some streaming service. I don't know if I'm going to do it on Twitch. If I were smart, I would do it on Twitch. My problem is that everybody and their grandmother is going to be doing it, number one. And number two, I don't want to attract the wrong crowd, if there is such a thing, on Twitch. You know, I don't want to attract the kind of crowd that likes only first-person shooter games and nothing else, right? Because I'm kind of looking for people who are open-minded for a variety of games, because I'm not going to be playing any one game repeatedly as the only thing on my channel. It's just not going to happen. I just can't do that. It's not the way my brain is structured. I must have some kind of variety. It's just the way it is. My channel is nothing except a love letter to playing video games, right? It's basically what it is. It's like, hey, I like a lot of different types of games. There's a bunch of different games I don't like, but there's a bunch of games I do like. So that is what I'm trying to maintain. That said, we'll have Battlefield Hardline. So I might end up doing the multiplayer of that on Hitbox probably, rather than Twitch. We'll see. I'm kind of leery about doing the multiplayer on Twitch, but I might just give in and say, screw it, I'll just do it on Twitch. So there's that. And then we have Tales from the Borderlands is supposed to come sometime that week. Sometime this next week here. The week of the 17th, which is not really the week of the 17th, it's the week of the 16th. Well, 15th if you want to be really, if you want to be really, stringent about Sunday, Monday stuff. Because the 17th is a Tuesday. I don't know why a lot of game developers release stuff on Tuesday. I don't know why that is instead of a Monday, but whatever. It seems to be tradition. So it's so we have that. It's going to be what was I talking about? I was talking about Battlefield Hardline. That's coming out. Tales from the Borderlands. That's coming out that week. They haven't said exactly the 17th, but they said the week of the 17th. So that's this next week coming. The next few days coming. I'll be doing the same thing I did before, which is just playing through the entire episode, and then I will post it onto YouTube each day in a row until it's done. It's probably going to be like, I would imagine it's going to be another 2-hour episode so it'll probably be about 5 days of videos, so on and so forth. So that's the thing that's coming. That is episode 2, Atlas Mugged. I can leave you a link to a Eurogamer article on that. It doesn't tell you much else, but it does give you an embedded link to their trailer for episode 2. So that's the thing. And got a couple more things on here. So what else is coming out the 17th? Also, so there's things that have come out already that I've been tracking that I'm trying to get videos of. There's LA Cops. I'm trying to possibly do a series on that. I've heard from the reviews that it might not be so great, and the stuff that I've played of it was, shaky, but it was, early access at the time, so I just kind of gave it a pass. I don't know how well it's come along or not, so we'll see. I'm probably going to record that. I don't know if it'll actually be a series or not. Presumably, if I'm going to record it, it will most likely be a series, but if I get halfway through and decide that I'm not into it, I may end up just pretending the game doesn't exist, or just do like a one-off on it, do a side quest video on it. Whatever the case may be, but we'll see once I've dug into it some further, because I've only done it once before with the early access stuff. I haven't seen the full release of that. There's also so that's already been released. Also, Sid Meier's Starships was already released. I forgot all about it. It was released this week, so I just purchased that. That one, again, another real-time strategy game, so I would like to play it. I would like to play it soon, but we'll have to see if I can pull it off and not put too much real-time strategy stuff on my channel, because the other things I'm still looking at Off-World Trading Company, which I still need to train a little bit more in before I actually go into that. Which, thinking about it further, maybe I'll just do that as a live stream. We'll see. Then there's Homeworld Remastered, which I have. I haven't dug into yet. I want to dig back into that. I've been dying to play Homeworld again since the remaster was announced. So I want to get into that as soon as I possibly can. That one's going to be an interesting one because probably the episodes are going to be relatively short, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of editing, because there's a lot of sort of waiting around for things to happen. So yeah, that one's going to be an interesting one from an editing perspective, but from a recording perspective, I want to get in there, and I want to do it. I want to be re-immersed in that world again. And I've never played Homeworld 2, so this will give me the opportunity to play Homeworld 2 as well at some point. Also, there's a bunch of Homeworld mods that people have been working on. For most of them are for the original Homeworld, but it looks like a couple of the modders are adapting them for Homeworld Remastered. So, because the original Homeworld engine was different from the Homeworld Remastered engine. The Homeworld Remastered engine, if I'm not mistaken, was the Homeworld 2 engine, and it was just revamped from there. And they took the Homeworld 1 maps and assets and stuff and moved them into the Homeworld 2 engine to make it Homeworld Remastered, along with the UI tweaks and everything else. So any mods that were created for Homeworld 1 presumably are going to need some kind of fixing in order to, or updating in order to work for Homeworld Remastered. So, and they've already started doing that. There's already an article out there saying that people are already in Steam Workshop releasing mods left and right. So that's cool. So there were a couple mods from that, like there was a Star Trek one, I believe, and I believe there was a Star Wars one as well. So I may end up you may end up seeing lots and lots of Homeworld, because I may end up getting into, after I've played through the games, actually getting into some of the modified, the mods and everything else on top of it. It's also coincidentally why I bought Sins of the Solar Empire, and I still haven't played it yet, is because there is a mod for it called Star Trek Armada 3, which there was a game called Star Trek Armada. There was a game called Star Trek Armada 2, which I never played. I played Star Trek Armada. I did not play Star Trek Armada 2. And then they did this as sort of a fan remake or fan make of what would be Star Trek Armada 3, quote unquote. And they did it in Sins of the Solar Empire's engine. And I still haven't dug into that. I started at one point to download the mod, but ModDB and IndieDB and Desura and all that stuff, for some reason or another, they have the crappiest download servers I've ever seen in my life. At least for me here in the States. So things end up taking, small mod files, a couple 100 megs end up taking like 4 hours to download. So I ended up canceling that download because I didn't have time at the time, but I'll have to get around to that at some point in the future. Also, while we're talking about other things that I'm looking at here, I've got what else was coming out on the 17th? I think that's all that I can remember off the top of my head. As far as the 17th is concerned, was the Tales from Borderlands and the other one. Also started up Cities Skylines as a series. Again, all this real-time strategy stuff. I always intended to make Cities Skylines a series. I've tried my best not to look at other YouTubers and what they've done in the game, because I want it to be sort of a fresh game for myself. I want to go into it blind, basically, for no other reason than I feel like some of the appeal of me doing a real-time strategy game is watching me just fail miserably at stuff, which is good. And I kind of, when it comes to real-time strategy games, I'm actually not too upset about failing at them. I kind of like it a little bit. I'll be perfectly honest. As much as I want to be really good at games, when it comes to real-time strategy games, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I just want to be passable. That is my goal in life. I want to be passable. So that's where. So City Skylines, I'm going to continue with that series. I don't. That might be a long series. That might be another Soul Zero, where it goes out to episode 60 or so. Whatever. Only going to do that once a week, though. I'm trying to do the real-time strategy stuff only once a week, but I reserve the right to change my mind, as I almost did there. Particularly for City Skylines, because it's fully released, right? My policy about the once a week thing was usually for early access games or early alpha games. Like, the Spatial still hasn't been released yet. The Spatials has a release coming up soon as well. I don't know if that's the 17th, but it was somewhere very close by, where they're going to be on Steam, actually. Steam early access, I believe. So I got to keep my eye out for that as well. I usually do those once a week, and that and Soul Zero when I was doing Soul Zero, just because they're early, right? You don't want to. I saw so many people play Starbound and just play it like they would a normal series, and they got all the way through the game, and they were high level stuff, and then they ran out of things to do, and they were like episode 20 or so. They just ran out of things to do because it's not a finished game yet. So I try to space it out on purpose, just to give the devs more time to refresh the game, put more stuff in the game, as well as it gives me an opportunity to continue to have a variety of things that I play, and not focus too much on one thing or another. I've been really thinking a hell of a lot about switching to more of a traditional, I guess you could say, YouTuber schedule, where it's like you have these 2 or 3 primary series, and the videos are once every other day, and then you've got other things for the the off series, the minimal series, if you will, for the other portions of your schedule. The only reason why I resist that is because that's not how I play games. I literally, I'll sit down, I'll play a game for maybe 2 hours, and then I'll put it aside, and I'll play something else for 2 hours, and I'll put that aside, and I'll play something else for 2 hours. That's how I've always sort of been. It's a rare occasion that I have ever sat down, even before I was doing YouTube, a rare occasion I've ever sat down and said, I'm going to play this game for 10 hours, or I'm going to play this game all the way through, or I'm just going to grind my way through this. The one that sticks out of my mind where I've done that is Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. I did grind out a lot of that. Also, Mass Effect 1 and 2 were other ones that stuck out in my mind. And to be honest, also, what was the name of that game? I had the name of the game on my tongue, and it just vanished. It evaporated. But that game too. Mostly all the Xbox 360 games that I own are ones where I sat down and I just grind it through them pretty quickly. Because at the time I wasn't doing any YouTube stuff, and I was just, hey, I want to see the ending of this, and I was only playing really one game at a time. I was getting back into this groove, right? PC gaming at the time, when I was doing the 360, console stuff, PC gaming had really dropped off. I mean, it obviously didn't dissipate. It's still here. It's still strong. it was not as strong as it was today, where a lot of people were just focusing on consoles. They weren't releasing PC versions of things, and what was out on the PC was very hard to find things. Steam was still very, very early in its infancy, or not even existed yet. And so, with the advent of all the digital downloads and being able to find games and have them managed for you and all that stuff, it really brought me back off the console back to the PC in quite the dramatic fashion. Although I still play the console from time to time. I haven't actually played my Xbox 360 for a very long time, but I'm hoping at some point maybe I'll get back to that. We'll see. I think the thing that always drove me a little bit batty about it was that I purposely waited until the second gen, kind of the console, because I heard that the first shipment of the consoles was getting the red ring of death, and so I waited a little bit, and I got the sort of upgraded, improved version, and I still got a red ring of death on it, and had to take it back while I was playing Mirror's Edge for the second time around. So that was an interesting one. But I digress. That's way off on a tangent there. So yeah, that's a couple of things that I know. Oh, another thing coming out on March 17th, and I will leave you a link to this game, a Polygon link that talks into more detail about this. But I've been looking at, and I've pre-purchased a game, or early access a game called Woolfe, the Red Hood Diaries, and it's a 2D, yeah, it's a 2D isometric-ish thing. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure there are 3D models in there, but it's a 2D plane that you basically kind of run on. It's more of an isometric plane that you run on, and it's a side scroller, but it's set in a fairy tale land. It's almost like a grim fairy tale land, where all the characters that you have known from fairy tales are sort of personified as actual, like people, like the wolf from the Big Bad. The Big Bad Wolf is an actual, is a businessman, but he's sort of kind of corrupt a little bit, and Little Red Riding Hood is trying to uncover the circumstances of her father's death, and her father worked for the Big Bad Wolf and things of that nature. It is a platformer, mild puzzles, very, very mild puzzles, which is nice. That's right up my alley. And it's an interesting art aesthetic to it. And the version that I played didn't have any boss battles in it yet, but it sounds like they're pretty close to release, so I assume that if I were to hit play again on it, I would see a bunch more things. It sounds like it's only going to be about a 2.5 hour game, which is fine. I felt like I got pretty far along it, even in the version that I had. So I kind of figured that going in, that it was going to be kind of short. But that is absolutely perfect right now. I'm looking at a lot of the shorter games and going, hey, this might work well. This might fit into my schedule just perfectly. Let me pencil you in. My 9 o'clock appointment, if you will. So that one's looking really good. That's coming out on the 17th. That will be out of early access, from what I understand, on the 17th. So I want to jump into that as well. God, I still have Shadowblade Reload. I don't know when that's coming out, but I still need to record some more of that. I need to record everything. I have no backlog at all, so I still need to record. Republic Commando. I don't know how much of that game is left. We've made it to the point where, I had seen some of this already because it was in the demo. So I don't know if we're halfway through, 3/4 of the way through. It feels like we're a good distance in it. But we're talking about an older game here, and older games had a tendency to just like throw a whole bunch of levels at you. And then you think you're winding down to something, and in fact you're really not. So I don't know what the case may be with this, since this is my first playthrough through it. So we'll see what happens there. Continuing with that. And then while we're on the subject of first-person shooters, I mentioned last week that there was a new one from Bethesda in the Wolfenstein universe, sort of like a prequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order. Well, I went and I have a link for you guys. I'll put it in there. I went to their official site and just took a look around. There's not much there to see yet. But there is a synopsis of what the game is about. And it's my understanding. So what it's basically saying is there's going to be 2 episodes. I don't know if both episodes are released at once or if it's literally 2 different downloads or not. I don't know. The release date they have on here is May 5th, which is fantastic, honestly. But the idea is that this is the prequel to The New Order. So first episode is Rudiger? I'm not pronouncing that right. And the Den of Wolves, where as BJ Blazkowicz, you go against the maniacal prison ward in Castle Wolfenstein in an attempt to steal the coordinates to General Death's Head's compound, which, if you remember from The New Order, we had already had. The game started out with us flying towards Death's Head's compound to confront him directly. That was with all the robot dogs and stuff on the beach and everything else. So this is, again, taking place just before that. And then in part 2, it's called The Dark Secrets of Helga von Schlabs. The hero searching for the coordinates leads him to the city of Wolfsburg, where an obsessed Nazi archaeologist is exhuming mysterious artifacts that threaten to unleash a dark and ancient power. So that will probably introduce all the artifacts that we see later on in the New Order. From what I understand as well, from reading around on here, they're going to have new weapons, different weapons, because we're back in 1946 at this point, not in the future the alternate future that was begotten from BJ being bludgeoned over the head with a being shot in the head with a shard of metal. So we'll have different kinds of weapons. There's some kind of Nazi grenade launcher thingy, which sounds rather cool. It's got some like Jägermeister name or something like that. This is the Jägermeister. But I think you get the idea there. So I'm waiting for that as well. That will most definitely be something I drop all things for and play, because I enjoyed The New Order so much. It was so good. I assume they're going to use the same engine and everything else, especially since they're releasing it so close to when they released Wolfenstein: The New Order. So that's the thing. Also, that link that I'm putting in there, I'm linking you to the official Wolfenstein website. There is also a link up there to play the original Wolfenstein 3D in your browser. Was ported to HTML5 and all that stuff. So if you're ever curious as to what the original Wolfenstein 3D kind of played like, there you go. You can go right to the source for it. What else we got on here? So I mentioned Sid Meier's Starships. I actually have it on here from February 28th, where I'm like, hey, go look at this Destructoid article about Sid Meier's Starships. I will leave you a link to the Destructoid article on that in case I didn't already leave it once before. But basically, that's another one that I just downloaded, and another real-time strategy game that I'm very interested in taking a look at. And I've been a little bit busy on the Kickstarters, kickstarting some things. So there was one that I forgot to write down here, and I can't remember the name of it. It's a remake of Descent, and I forget how they actually put it. Descent remake or something. Descent Reloaded. I don't remember what the actual name of it was. But I just tossed some money their way. They actually have the blessing of the rights holders to make a new remake version of Descent. Descent, I think they're calling it Descent Underground or something like that. Where it's going to have more of a multiplayer focus. In fact, I think it's going to be completely focused on multiplayer. And there's all kinds of different multiplayer modes that you'll play. There's like mining modes where one team has to mine more than the other team, and there's, I guess, straight on free to, kill or be killed as well, I imagine, and various other modes along the way. So it's going to be a multiplayer only version of Descent, which I think sounds rather fantastic, and They were comparing it for some reason to a MOBA game, which maybe, I mean, I guess you could think of it that way if it's, lanes and pushing the enemy back and stuff. So I'm kind of curious as to how Descent it is and how MOBA it is. I'm not entirely sure. But I was reading all that stuff on there, and they've made a bunch of references, so that was one of them. So tossed a few coins their way. I don't have a link to a article about it though, unfortunately. So you just have to trust my, you just have to take my word for it, I guess. Also we have trying to think of which one. There was another one that I just kickstarted, and I was going to switch over to talking about that, but I can't see it on here. Oh, here it is. Halcyon 6 is another Kickstarter that's out there that I just threw some money at. It's a space station roguelike that's kind of like, it's very, very similar to to the spatials in well, I shouldn't say that. It's not real. The mechanics are different, but it's got kind of the same spirit, if you will, that the spatials has. Where the spatials is more around along the lines of, a Sim City, or a Sims really, where you're building a space station up, and then you send your people out on away missions and do various things with that. This Halcyon 6 is more of an XCOM version of that, where you're given a station that you have to upgrade with new rooms, which all give you, and each room gives you something different, some other perk and whatnot. And then you build spaceships. You figure out how many you need, and you manage your resources and build spaceships. And then everyone that you build, you can send out on the grid, out into the world, out into the universe, and have them fight the enemy back, because you're sort of you're the last holdout, the last stand for Earth, if you will, on this alien space station that you've taken over. And the idea is to hold off the final large waves of enemy ships coming in. And you can also jump into your characters. It looks like you can do sort of away missions, and they become what looks like a Final Fantasy thing, where you go into sort of a battle mode and you're just like, okay, turn-based battles, back and forth. So all those things combined together are like, ooh, okay, I have to I have to wait and see, but what I'm seeing so far seems interesting and cool. So that's sort of just tempering my my thoughts on it, and just kind of waiting to see if a good alpha build or something comes out that I can maybe possibly get my hands on. So that's a thing. Apparently I didn't talk about the fact that Forza Horizon 2 is getting a standalone. I don't know if it's standalone. I think it's standalone from what I've read. A standalone expansion to celebrate the new Fast and Furious movie coming out, Fast and Furious 7, I believe it is, which was the last acting thing by the one guy, Paul whatever his name is, who plays the sort of cop in there. That was, so you're seeing a post-mortem a post-mortem movie by him, and that will be free for everybody. This download it's going to be just like a little standalone expansion thing. It'll be free to everybody from March 27th to April 10th, and then afterwards you have to pay $10 for it. But sounds interesting. It'll be something that will probably bring me back into Forza Horizon for a little bit, and I'll take a look at it and see if it is truly fast and or furious, or at least furiously fast, possibly. I'll leave a link to the Eurogamer article that talks about it. There's not a whole lot of details about it. A few more details were released this week. This article I'm linking it to is kind of old. It's back from February 28th. But it's not really too many more details beyond that. From what I understand, though, over the next couple weeks, there's also going to be some free downloadable content for downloadable car packs around some of the cars in the Fast and Furious, genre, movie genre. So, and those will be free, I believe. So you might want to, if you haven't jumped into Forza Horizon 2 for a while, like me, you might want to jump in there and take a peek around and see if there's some free DLC waiting for you, some new cars, if for no other reason than to say you have them, even if you don't end up, playing with them or anything. So that takes care of that. It takes care of Sid Meier's Starships. I said all I could probably about that. I mentioned 2 weeks ago, and apparently I didn't get to much of this list apparently last week, because none of these things are crossed off. But I mentioned at least last week or 2 weeks ago that Star Trek Online was going to have a permanent tribute to Leonard Nimoy, who passed away a couple weeks ago. And I will link you to the Polygon article that talks about it. But basically, they've erected two statues, one in Vulcan one on Vulcan around the fountain that everyone was gathering around prior to that. That one has it's a statue in the middle of the fountain now of him, or of Spock, I should say. And the inscription on it is "Live long and prosper." Or I'm sorry, the inscription on it is, I believe, is that the one that's "Live long and prosper," or is it the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? I think yeah. No, I think the one on Vulcan says "Live long and prosper." There's one also on New Romulus, because Star Trek Online takes place after the original Romulan homeworld is destroyed by a supernova. which is still events that happened in the Prime universe that ended up sending Spock back to the alternate J.J. Abrams universe that nobody really likes. So that's the thing. On New Romulus, they have another fountain there. They have a statue of Spock there. And I believe on that one is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, I believe, is the inscription on that one, if I remember correctly. So that's really cool. It's really cool to see them doing tributes there. Elite Dangerous, I believe, is also doing a tribute, has rolled out a tribute. I believe they're going to name a station or something after Leonard Nimoy. Something of that nature. So really cool to see the outpouring of all the support and all the well wishing, the remembrances, and so on and so forth. So very cool. Again, I'll leave you a link to articles that talk a little bit more about it, so you can figure out what you need to figure out. You can figure out more stuff than what I've figured out, at least. And let's see. Also, so I mentioned Battlefield Hardline's coming out on the 17th. I will be playing it. I mentioned all that stuff. I still have like a link here from forever ago where it was like 6 million people played the beta hotwire mode. So what I'm going to say about that, I was going to leave you a link, but I'm not even going to bother to leave a link for that. It's so old now, it doesn't really matter. But what I thought was interesting there is a lot of people are really enjoying the hotwire mode. So I feel like I need to, if I do some multiplayer, I'm going to have to learn hotwire mode, which I have a feeling, since so many people have played the beta already, that I'm going to run into this and go, and it's going to be like another Heroes of the Storm where I just go in there and people are just like complaining loudly about my lack of knowledge about something that just was released. But I'm gonna suck it up, damn it, and I'm gonna figure it out. Hopefully there's some kind of bot mode or something where I can play against bots for a little bit to figure out the modes, but we'll see. Also, and this one goes back quite a while. I kickstarted a game which actually succeeded, I believe, in its Kickstarter, called Vidar, or Vidar, whichever way you want to pronounce it. And it's an interesting little thing. It's, you're kind of your typical top-down RPG with the old school, if you will, aesthetics to it. But the twist on this one is it's a puzzler. It's got some really mind-bending puzzles in it, which I played the demo of it. I wanted to record that, but I haven't gotten around to recording it yet. I may still do that, even though it's kind of an older demo now by this point. But basically the catch of this RPG is that pretty much everyone dies. It's a game where everyone dies, and you are you're a wanderer of some kind. You wander into this village, and you find out that the village is under some sort of curse, and one person dies every night, and in 20 nights or something like that, or 10 nights or something, pretty much the entire colony is going to be dead, and it'll be your turn to die. Along the way, the game is kind of procedurally generated, kind of and kind of not. The dialogue is really the thing that is sort of procedurally generated more than anything else. So you can come in and find that the conditions that you start the game are different every time you start the game. So, one time you might start the game and there's a house on fire and you need to do something about it. Another time you might start it and someone else who was alive during your one playthrough is now dead. And all the dialogue and everything changes to match what has happened in the world, based upon who's alive and who's dead. Your quests and stuff are based upon who's alive and who's dead. And you don't get to choose who is dead when you first start the game. It's just the game chooses at random, and that's how it sort of shuffles the deck a little bit as to what you're dealing with all the time. So it's a very neat concept. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. I played the demo. The demo was competent. I was not able to succeed at the puzzles. There's a puzzle in the demo that is timed, and it requires you to finish it in. You have to rescue a kid from ice that's breaking inside of a cave, and you have like 7 minutes to do it. You can move both the kid and yourself, but you can only move certain ways, and you slide across the ice, and there's all these modifiers on the ice there. So it's I was not able to ever succeed in bringing the child back to safety, back to his parents, who were alive and worried about him. So that I will leave a link to their actual website for Vidar, Vidar. I'm sorry. You can take a look at it. I don't think they're taking any additional donations or anything like that. I think they're just focused on the game right now. But it's something you can kind of keep in the back of your brain if you're looking for an RPG that's got something slightly different, ever so slightly different. Or if you're big into puzzles and you thought, hey, not only am I big into puzzles, I'm also big into RPGs, and hey, now I've got two of those things combined together. I think the thing that gave me a pause about the whole game was the puzzles, because I don't really like puzzles unless they're very, very easy. If they're very easy puzzles, then I feel kind of smart, and so it works out for me. But if they're really difficult puzzles, or even if they're just moderately difficult, like timed puzzles, I end up losing interest pretty quickly. Hopefully, but that said, the whole demo kept my interest, and I wanted to see more. So, I'm keeping an open mind as much as I can. Just like I'm keeping an open mind about rhythm games. I was playing. I was waiting for something to download, and I thought, oh, you know what? I'm waiting for this to download. Let me just try out this one game that I keep seeing in my Steam library that I've never installed or anything. So I installed it. It's called Kickbeat Steam Edition, and it's a neat concept. It's like, hey, you're a ninja, and there's music playing, and then it's a rhythm game. So to the certain beats of the music, you hit certain keys on the keyboard, or in my case, the controller, and you basically do all these ninja moves and kill guys around you, and you can pick up power-ups that they've dropped and all that other stuff. And I thought, oh, this looks kind of neat. It's got like a story mode to it, so I thought, hey, maybe I'll go record some of the story mode. Well, I thought, well, before I do that, I don't want to record anything right now because I'm in the midst of something. So let me just play survival. And I jumped into survival, and I was failing in the first not even 4 minutes, the first 2 minutes of playing survival. I was failing just consistently. And I'm like, well, this game probably not. My first impression about not being good at rhythm games and not liking rhythm games, it's pretty much staying put. It is pretty much what I expected out of a rhythm game, where I was just failing incredibly. So that how did I even get off on that tangent? I don't even know how I got off on that tangent, but I did. So that was a thing. So I also was looking at, speaking of Heroes of the Storm back in the day, I was thinking of, I decided to dig in and look at Overwatch, which is another one that Blizzard is looking for. And I just saw some news articles about it, that Overwatch Beta will be coming this fall. They've introduced 2 more characters. One was a 6-shooter wielding cowboy with way OP like special move where he can do basically bullet time and just automatically select all the people on the screen and just shoot them in the head and get a headshot kill on them. So, but that was I not having seen anything else about the game. I don't know whether it's balanced or not balanced. My initial thought is, holy crap, that's going to be really unbalanced. But then, who knows? Maybe there'll be plenty of other things to counterbalance it. I would imagine there would be, because you don't just give somebody a auto aim unless you intend for them to use it. So I was looking at that, and then they had there's another female character that they've introduced that has some sort of plasma rifle badass weapon thing. Very cool there as well, and a shield as her sort of special, ability, if you will. So cool. I like what I'm seeing so far there. I've never, thinking about it, I've never played Team Fortress 2. I've seen others play it, but I've never actually dug in and played it myself. This might be, so given that, this might be the first, first-person shooter, multiplayer-focused first-person shooter that I've ever really possibly looked at. That's assuming, of course, that I end up getting into the beta access, which, I did. I signed up for it, just like I did for Heroes of the Storm, and it took them many, many, many moons to get me a Heroes of the Storm, get me into the Heroes of the Storm beta. So I'm not holding my breath, because I'm sure there's plenty of others that are way ahead of me and probably getting into alpha and all those other things, because they're well known by Blizzard. But I'm not salty. Not at all. More power to them. I just want to see I just want to get my hands on it and see what it's like, because for all I know, I'll start to play it and end up not liking it or being so bad at it that I can't deal with it. But we'll see. We'll see when that comes out. Who knows? Who knows what the future has in store? I certainly do not know. We also got some more information on Terraria Otherworld. Terraria Otherworld. I feel like I need to say that in space. Terraria Otherworld. I may have had some beer before I start recording. Just so you're aware. The more information that we got was another video, and in it shows that Terraria Otherworld looks like it's going to have. It looks like it's going to be just Terraria, like we know and love, but it's also going to introduce some tower. What do they call it? Tower defense. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Some tower defense in it, where it looks like you are dropped onto a planet that is completely corrupted. The corruption is everywhere. And the idea is that you build a purification tower, and then you eventually build towers that will protect those. And those purification towers over time slowly, very, very slowly start to replace the corruption with actual, good, grasslands and so on and so forth, actual good stuff. So that sounds like an interesting twist there, right? It's like, hey, what would happen if we let our world just go? Because corruption spreads now in Terraria as it is. But this is sort of taking that concept and saying, here's what would happen if it spread everywhere. And now you got to fix it. And here's the tools in which to fix that. So that it's got me interested. Most of the stuff that I have on this list here has me interested in some way, shape, or form. I usually don't put things on the list that don't interest me. So that's a thing. Don't know any more information than that. Don't know what the release would be. Don't know even what all the features are going to be. We just literally are getting very small trickles of videos and other things. My apologies there. I've been fighting back the constant need to yawn. Because last thing I need, because yawns are contagious. They're very bad, and I thought, there's a certain day coming up, very very soon. It's perhaps the beginning of April, where pranks and other things are pulled, and I considered uploading a video on April 1st of just me playing something but constantly yawning, just fake yawning, because even when you fake yawn, it's contagious and other people yawn. And I thought to myself, no, I the last thing I need to do is actually kill subscribers. I don't think YouTube will appreciate that too much. What happened to him? Well, doctor, he seems to have yawned himself to death. He was watching this YouTube video and his asshole came on. He's just like, hey, I'm gonna play Terraria and I'm going to just yawn every 5 minutes instead of during my commentary, just to make it contagious. That would be horrendous. That would be terrible. I'm keeping that one in my back pocket. You're not allowed to steal that one. You're not allowed to. That's mine. I actually have another idea for April 1st, but I gotta see if I can pull it off. Let's just say I don't want to spoil too much, but we'll say I'll say that it's not Minecraft. Although I did think of doing another Minecraft thing like I did last year, where I went back in time, and I was just thinking of, wouldn't it be cool if I just went on the LCM server and just made everybody's things pink, or something like that? Just made pink banners everywhere, put pink sheep everywhere. But the level of dedication to accomplish that may not be in my bones with everything else going on. Instead, I've got something else in mind. It is an older game. We'll put it at that, and then we'll see what happens. I say all this knowing full well that I may end up not doing anything April 1st. I'm just trying not to promise too much, because I have no idea what's going to happen. I know for a fact that the week after that, the week after April 1st, I'm going to have to have some videos recorded, because I have to go on a business trip. Hopefully the last business trip that I have to take for many, many, many years, if all goes well. It's this is one of those ones where it's like, I don't have to go very far. It's far enough that I should take a plane, because otherwise it would take like six or 7 hours via car, and it only takes about an hour via plane. But at the same time, I'm like, I kind of wish I could just jump in the car and do it rather than having to take a flight in, because they're having an early meeting and all that stuff. So yeah, whatever. I already have a ton of anxiety built up around just the fact that I have to travel. So I'm just going to push all that aside. We're going to take a deep breath of serenity here. What are we up to here? We're up to, we got a little bit of time. We're winding down to the end of the episode here, but and many buts. So what was I felt like I had introduced something, and I was in the process of talking about something, and I didn't. I talked about Terraria Otherworld. I'll leave you a link to the Eurogamer article that has the embedded video and a little bit more details on that. And so one of the things, I'm just thinking of City Skylines again here. One of the things I mentioned in City Skylines is that it reminds me a lot of SimCity, a hell of a lot of SimCity. And I think that's why it was so popular. I just read an article that said something like they've sold 250,000 copies on their first day or something like that. And it's everywhere on YouTube as well. So that's another thing, another judge of popularity. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that Maxius, the original creators of the original SimCity and The Sims and various other games in that genre, has been shut down by EA. They shut down Maxius Emeryville. They didn't, as far as I know, shut down the name Maxius. They'll probably still publish things under the name Maxius, since they own that IP, and it's a far more clean clean name than EA. People see Maxius and they're like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. They see EA and they're like, ooh, how bad is it? So I guess that's another reason for keeping the actual name around. But the main headquarters, what was the headquarters of Maxius, what was the main building of Maxius in Emeryville was shut down. So a bunch of people lost their jobs, looking for work and all those other things. It's really sad to see something like a powerhouse like Maxius succumb to its own yearly injuries, I suppose. But there are others who are taking that formula and knocking it out of the park. And I think the latest release of SimCity, the remake of SimCity that EA released a few years ago, was the sign that most people had that Maxius was already dead. It kind of seemed like it. I think there were problems with the latest Sims game too, a little bit, but it's still workable. But there were huge patches that needed to come down, and so on and so forth. So it's really sad to see a good powerhouse like that go away. It's really sad to see so many people, without a job. But it seems to me like Paradox and other game devs are stepping up and filling in that void that, and a lot of the indie devs are trying to fill in that void as well of the not having Sims to march around, or the city simulation aspects of gaming that we don't get to see too often. So so far I'm enjoying City Skylines, but I haven't gotten too far into it. All what you've seen on camera is how far I've actually gotten, but that's it's going along pretty well. It's sad to see Maxius Emeryville go, but we still have, it's still, a lot of their devs might have gotten, quite a few of their devs I imagine got rehired with EA or some other internal team. So hopefully they're not completely all out on the street. It sounds like some still hit their feet running, if you will. And so I have quite a few other things on here. I've gotten through a good portion of the list. There are a couple things that I've skipped just because they're things that they're all, a lot of these are all in the same genre, so I'm trying not to go too deep into all of them. There's also, I have a note here about, and this was from last week as well. I have a link to a Forbes article where they talk to Notch. It's a pretty in-depth article about Notch and his growing up and what he's doing now. And I think the most poignant thing that came out of that is that he's sort of listless right now. He's just kind of looking for the next big thing. And since he never really expected Minecraft to take off, it's hard to know exactly what formula is going to get you all those, downloads and all those purchases that you want, and all that excitement and all those YouTube videos and things happening there. So it's sad to see that he's sort of in this state where he's not quite sure what he wants to do. He doesn't quite have any ideas fleshed out that he thinks are really good. So, I would encourage you, if you've played enough Minecraft or are morbidly curious about the creator of said game, I would probably encourage you to go read the Forbes article. It's pretty extensive. It really talks about a lot of stuff. It kind of shows you where he was coming from as far as his own thoughts on selling the game and why he sold to Microsoft and not to other game makers that had put in bids for it. So other publishers and publishers, I guess, that had put bids in for it. So there's not much else I can say about that. I put it on here more of a reading assignment, if you will, for others, because I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't leave a link to that somewhere so you could see, like, hey, this is, a lot of the things that we suspected are true. This is why he hit the last straw when he did, and why he decided to move on and walk away from it. I think I have a few more things on my list here, but I think I'll just talk a little bit very quickly without giving any links out to a few things that I've been trying to learn and get to some state of being able to record. There's another RPG that I'm looking at called After Reset. It just got released the other day. I think the 13th it got released. So I kickstarted it back in the day, and I have it on Steam now, and I want to probably take a look at that. I've also been dabbling in Shadowrun Returns as well. So we'll see. There might be some more RPGs coming onto the channel at some point in the future. But I would say that will do it for this episode of Cube Ramblings. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next Sunday.